Good morning, senior students of El Hosseini International School. Welcome to our second online session in the Advanced Biology course. I'm Dr. Inez and I will teach you this lesson today. Today we are going to talk about the blood components, which is part of our curriculum. We agreed that we are going to use parents' study notes. We will focus on chapter 15, Human Physiology. Today we are going to talk about the circulation, part of it, which is the blood components, from page 248 up till 250. Again, I need you to open your parents in your computer or printed. I need you to have your copybook and a pen to record the important notes that we are going to talk about. By the end of this lesson, inshallah, you will be able to name and identify the components of blood, describe the rule of components of blood, explain how the structure of blood cells affect their function, and mention the mechanism of blood clotting. As usual, I need you to know that I will mute your voice. If you need to ask me a question, just write it and then I will answer it, inshallah. By the end of the session, maybe I'm gonna answer your question, but if I don't answer it, I will let you ask your questions at the end of this lesson. Let's start by thinking about the answer of this question. What do you think the liters of blood inside the human body? What do you think the answer will be? No, it's not 3. Yes, actually, inside our body we have approximately 5 liters of blood. Actually, it's from 5 to 6 liters of blood. So what is blood made of? And why do our body need blood? Our blood is made of a major component, which is a yellow fluid called plasma. This plasma contains many blood cells, as you can see, which can be in the form of red blood cells, white blood cells, or very small cells called platelets. Before knowing the components of blood, we have to understand what's the meaning of the word blood. Actually, the word blood means a fluid that mainly consists of plasma, blood cells, and platelets. It circulates throughout our body, delivering oxygen and nutrients to various cells and tissue, and it makes up 8% of our body weight. An average adult possesses around 5 to 6 liters of blood. So, if in the exam you are asked about the word blood, you have to describe its shape, fluid-like, its contents, plasma, blood cells, platelets, and its main function, which is the delivering of oxygen and the nutrients all over the body. What about its component? What if we take the blood and separate its component? Actually, if we take the blood and separate it, we will find that it's mainly formed of a yellow substance and cells. Let's get closer. If we look closer to the blood, we will find that it is mainly formed of a yellow substance called plasma that forms about 55% of blood, followed by red blood cells that represent 41% of the blood, followed by white blood cells that represent 4% of blood. And actually, white blood cells has different forms inside the blood. They may be lymphocytes, basophils, xenophils, monocytes, neutrophils, and a small cells that only represent 0.01% of the blood called platelets, but actually they have a huge function. Let's get closer to each component. We will begin with the major component of the blood, plasma. It is considered as a liquid state of the blood, and it makes up 50% of the blood. It's pale yellow in color when we separate it, and it consists of salts, nutrients, water and enzymes. It also contains important proteins. Its main function is to carry the blood cells all over your body, so it's very important actually. The second most important component in the blood cells are the red blood cells. And because you are seniors, you have to know that they are also called erythrocytes, which is considered as the scientific name of red blood cells. Erythrocytes or red blood cells are biconcave cells, contain iron-rich protein, which is very important. This iron-rich protein is called hemoglobin, and it gives the red blood cells its red color, and also it has a very important function, which is carrying oxygen to all body cells, which is very important, of course. Red blood cells are formed in the bone marrow, and they are characterized by having no nucleus. Actually, red blood cells are the only cells inside our body that has no nucleus. Why? Yes, to give space in order to carry more oxygen as it can. Very good. So, again, we are talking about what? We are talking today about the blood and blood components. First, we understood the definition of blood, and then we said that we have 4 components inside the blood: plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. When we get closer to the blood, we knew that the plasma represents 55% of it, and we understood what's main function and its main structure. And then we talked about the red blood cells, which are also called erythrocytes. Excellent. Followed by the red blood cells, we have a very, very important cells that represent only 4%, but they defend our body, which are the white blood cells. The scientific name are leukocytes. So white blood cells can be also known as leukocytes. Actually, in the blood, they are colorless, and if we put a stain, they will appear as a huge red cells. They don't contain hemoglobin, and that's why they don't have a certain or a specific red color like the red blood cells, but they have a huge mechanism, and important mechanism, which is defense and immunity in your body. They are also formed in the bone marrow, and from these names we will know that we have different types of white blood cells inside our blood. Each one of it has its specific function. But in our curriculum, you just have to know that we have different forms of white blood cells, and that's it. So, in the exam, if I say erythrocytes, I'm talking about red blood cells. Leukocytes, I'm talking about white blood cells. What else? Also in the blood, we have a very, very small cells called platelets. They don't form a huge component of the blood, but they are very important. Do they have other name? Yeah, we can also call them thrombocytes. So, Yusuf, what's meant by thrombocytes? Excellent, platelets. How they look like? Actually, they are very tiny disc-shaped cells that regulate the blood flow when any part of the body is damaged. So they aid fast recovery of a damaged blood vessel through a process called clotting. They are also formed in the bone marrow from cells called megakaryocytes. But what I need you to know is how can the platelets form a blood clot or be able to do blood clotting. And this is the last point that we are going to talk about. The mechanism of blood clotting. Actually, blood clotting means stopping the blood from going out of a damaged blood vessel. If we have a damaged blood vessel, this vessel will allow the contents of the blood to go out from it. Like a wound, you will find out that you are bleeding. What stops this bleeding is the plasma, by a very, very complicated process, by the way, that you have to understand it. Let's see. When platelets are released in the damaged tissue, they release substance which is called thromboplastin. Thromboplastin has a very important role in the stimulation of a hormone or protein called prothrombin. The prothrombin circulate in the blood in an inactive form, but by the help of platelets and the thromboplastin which is produced from it, prothrombin is converted into active form called thrombin. And this thrombin activates another substance which is usually inactive also, called fibrinogen, into active fibrin that form many fibers to stop the bleeding. Let me show you. I need you to look at this picture. Excellent. In this picture, you will see that platelets are accumulating here to release what? To release prothrombin. Okay? Thromboplastin. Thromboplastin activate prothrombin to form thrombin. And then the thrombin activate fibrinogen to form fibrin. And then fibrin form fibers to stop bleeding, like this picture. And this is the mechanism of blood clotting that you have to memorize very well, and it's very important. Again, this is the pathway of blood clotting. And now, from your point of view, I need all of you to take notes today. Well, from your point of view, what will be the most important component of blood from your point of view? Write your notes and send it back to me as soon as you can. I'm waiting. So, to sum up our lesson today, we are talking today about blood. Blood has important function in transporting substance inside our blood. Blood is mainly formed of plasma, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Mechanism of blood clotting we have also understood, and we have known how blood clotting can occur. This is a link of a very useful video that shows you how blood clotting occurs. It's very interesting and you should watch it to understand more about what we are talking about. I hope that you all stay well. I need you to answer the sheet that I'm gonna send to you on Edmodo, and I need you to do a very interesting research. Actually, I want you to copy or to find out a complete blood count that was done by you or by any member in your family, and try to read and understand its components. Now, if you hold a CBC in your hand, you will be able to know where is the erythrocytes, leukocytes, thrombocytes, and so on. Check Edmodo also for presentation. Thank you very much. I hope that you stay safe all of the time, and please watch this video for me, and see you next session.